Alright, so I have been out of town for the weekend, and I came back, and y'all, this garden never ceases to amaze me. Come on and take a walk with me. Alright, let's take a walk in the garden. I'm just so excited, y'all. This year's theme, in case you haven't realized it, is Chaos Garden, because everything is a little bit chaotic. Our cucumber plants are good. I just picked a couple of massive ones that decided they were going to grow completely while I was gone for the weekend. Our wild zinnias, we pulled up all the potatoes, so the zinnias are just taking this spot over till I figure out what we're going to put here next. Before I left, I got a little bit of weeding done in this aisle. And I was able to find our pepper plants. They were hiding back here. Look at these guys. They're looking so good. And then some volunteer basil in amongst the peppers. Some more jalapenos. Yeah, this is lime basil that came back up. And then some more tomato. They're a little dry. It's been really hot this weekend, and I did not get to water them when we got in late last night, so I'm trying to get some water out to them now. I do have some heads of lettuce. Look at the size of this. It's about a handful. It'll be a good little head to eat. My cauliflower pretty much got eaten and went to seed before it ever made any cauliflower. I need to pull it up. I'm just starting to see some okra pods forming. The wild zinnias in the back. And then here on our squash, I'm fighting squash bugs way worse. Last year it was the squash vine borers, and I found a few of them, but it's more the actual squash bugs I'm fighting this year. And they're what's causing this droopy, wilty looking. So I may have to pull out a little more spray than I care to. And speaking of the devil, there they are. There is the culprit. Yeah. See, I gotta get rid of those because I'm not getting nearly the squash I would like to. And if I'm never going to be able to get squash, then I might as well not plant it, buy it, and, use that space for something else. So, you see the dragonfly? Love it. I do have one of my loofahs growing and doing good. I don't know about y'all, but the walk down this arch is like one of my favorite walks. With the beans. And then these are birdhouse gourds that are growing here. Up, look. I think we've got one up here. Let's see where to go. There it is. If I can get it in focus. Just starting to form. That's exciting. I can get a couple out of here. We've got the bush beans. I definitely prefer the trellis beans now that I've tried the two side by side. And these trellis beans are definitely my favorite. It's so much easier just to pick from up here than to bend over. Now guys, I'm hoping I can get y'all up in to see, but let's see. I'll probably hear Mama. And I hope we got a really good photo. We've got some baby birds. They hatched while we were gone this weekend. And that one little chirp, that's Mama. She is not real wild about me being in here under her nest. But she's the one that built the nest in my green beans, so we just gonna have to fight about it. Some more of my squash Just none of my squash are doing super fantastic, but here is the Chinese noodle beans, and they are just growing like crazy. And then my favorite, the tomatoes. So yep, all together 64 tomato plants. At one point last week I had counted and I was up to 130 tomatoes on the vine. Look at this one. That's a real cat-faced. So sometimes the blooms get really big, or you end up with a couple of blooms that kind of fuse together, and that's what happens. The tomatoes get cat-faced. They're still edible. You just have to kind of cut around some of this deformed part, but it's still edible. You just lose a little bit of the flesh trying to cut around it. I've got some kind of, I thought this was a cucumber, and maybe it still is, but if it is, it's taken on a funny shape. So it's something in the melon family, and I'm not real sure what, but it's growing up the tomato vine. Let's see if I can get y'all back in focus here. There we go. Growing up the tomato vine. But before I got distracted by the cat-faced tomatoes, I was saying I went through one time last week, and at that point I had like 130 tomatoes that I counted, and that's about the point I stopped at. But this is definitely a much better harvest than what I got last year. And look at this beauty. That is the first big size that has started to turn, and I am super duper excited. Now I can't tell you off the top of my head what varieties are planted where, because I've got about 22 different varieties of tomatoes out here. And I still owe y'all a what am I growing video. I've got to get on that. Y'all comment and let me know if that's something that you would really like to see. All right, we've got some of the purple bell peppers coming in. We've already picked a couple of them. Those are Woodrow's favorite. And then this is kind of my hodgepodge. I've got the peppers, and then I had a random tomato. This was actually one of the suckers that I pruned off of one of the bigger tomato plants and just kind of stuck it in the ground here. This is my ginger. I had it rooted sitting on the kitchen counter and brought it out here and planted it, and it seems to be thriving so far. I really need to weed my raised bed. The rosemary is flourishing. The weeds are flourishing. And look, the little rose bush that I just kind of stuck in here. It was one of those little tiny grocery store ones. My lovely hubby got me for my birthday, and it was starting to die in the pot, so I just kind of stuck bits and pieces in a few places around the yard, and that one is about to bloom again. And then this is the jalapeno that we overwintered from last year. I've already picked a couple off of here, and we got some good size one, and it looks like it's going to be loaded again this year. So really excited about that too. And the wild zinnia bed. So there's some kind of something. I got to do some research to figure out what it is, because it's putting these strange colored dots all over my zinnia leaves. That doesn't really affect the blooms, but the leaves look a little rough. When I pick them, I just pull those leaves off, and then I've got more beautiful flowers. So I hope y'all enjoy our time in the garden together as much as I do. And if there's anything else y'all want some info on, or want to see a little bit more in depth, let me know. Until next time, y'all click the subscribe button so that you can watch us grow.